So today, our message is a Father's Day message. It is a Father's Day message. Even though it may not appear to be a Father's Day message. And our message, or the title of the sermon today, is Why Did Eve Really Eat the Forbidden Fruit? Why did Eve really eat the forbidden fruit? Now there's so many different ways we can go with this particular story. But today what we're going to do more than anything is set a framework so that we can move on another day with more of the story. It's a lot. It's a lot. Because what they did to us as far as removing our memory and taking away the realities of these stories that's in the original books of the Bible really leaves us in a cruel predicament. So we started out in the original books of the Bible, page 222. And we were starting from verse 100 and reading up to 103. And it reads, "Therefore have reverence for unmade ray and obey that which has been prescribed for you." What we're teaching and what we're living and what we're learning is a prescription. Because we're sick. We need to be healed. Okay? The book of Isaiah chapter 19 speaks about Egypt being smitten or hit or chastised by the Most High, and then it says that He healed them as well. So there's a prescription here, and it says, "There is therefore something which is constantly overlooked when learning about the various Adama groups mentioned throughout the world's many religions." Let's stop there for a second. Because that's why I say we're not going to go into every single detail. We've been taught that there's only one Adam and Eve story. In the King James Version, we learn about Adam and Eve and the snake, and that's it. But this story has been told many times in different civilizations or cultures or countries. Okay? And that of which our voice speaks is none other than the doctrines concerning trees and those concerning snakes. Because in the garden there were some trees that we're going to talk about, and there was a snake. And they said this snake was a talking snake. And this talking snake was able to beguile Eve, and of course women now take the rap for original sin, which in the Qubtic Church we don't subscribe to original sin, but for those that do, women are blamed for the hellish conditions that we live in today. See, we could have been chilling in the garden if we didn't go mess with the fruit, right? So we, as men that have taken on the Greco-Roman mentality whereby they don't like women. Notice I didn't say they didn't like women. They do not. To this day, they don't like women. If we were to take some carvings of some naked women and start putting them around Bain town or even around our Kanisa, people would go up in arms. They call it pornography. They would call it all manner of evil. Yet, if you go to Greece and Rome, they got a bunch of naked men carved out in stone. Yeah, you just went there, right? You saw marble, right? Make sure it don't rub out, right? So the reason I'm making these points, again, I always like to establish context, right? So this doctrine of trees and doctrine of snakes is key to us truly understanding our Father's Day message of why did Eve really eat this forbidden fruit. Notice I didn't say apple. Right, we're going to get to that as well. Verse 101 says, within the first, which is the doctrine concerning trees, you must be made to see the angelic mysteries, which hold that tree imagery is found in myth and legends all across our earth. So much so that most religions utilize floral images in one way, form, or fashion. This is so evident that even in your latter day, humanity still refers to pages of a book as leaves. You have any loose leaf? So this doctrine is still calling these loose pages leaves, and it has a lot to do with what these trees really were in the garden. Verse 102, surely it is time for humanity's transformation towards higher mental consciousness. Yet again, through time, the doctrine of trees would also become mistaught and merged within the stories and events, with the Phoenician Cadmonites and the Adam son of Europa would live and record as being two actual trees, one of good and evil, hiding the fact of original morality, and the other of eternal life, hiding the fact of life standards. So these were not two actual trees in the garden that you couldn't pick fruit from. Okay? They made it look as if they were just trees because they had to cover your original stories. Remember, what is the meaning of the word hell? Etymologically, it's a cover. So if we cover your original doctrines, we cover your original stories, then you are bound to live in hell because you have forgotten who you truly are, and therefore you begin to live in somebody else's heaven. You start to take on hell. Right? So we go on further, verse 103, it says, therefore, what shall become of humanity? Shall you be able to learn these realities, such as those concerning the family tree of the guardian angelic host, Shu, which did represent, protect, and uphold the precept principle of life standards? So we have the family tree of Shu, representing life standards. Life standards. And then we have the family tree of the guardian angelic host, Tefnut, that represented what? Original morality. Original morality. Okay, we're not going to touch or delve too much deeper into those right now because we'll veer up into another another topic. But I must say that those who teach or preach morality in this day and time know little about it. Those who rule us with their perception of morality are simply pushing on us what is known as cultural diffusion. So far as when the Greeks and the Romans and the Phoenicians and all of these invaders came into our land, they brought with them their perverted ways as it relates to us. Because it may work for them, but it doesn't work for us. Right? So we're going to go down that road another day. Right? So the reality then is what we've been taught as far as Adam and Eve is concerned really and truly has been misconstrued to the point where we really don't understand these stories. Now the question then is, well, how does this relate to Father's Day? Because dogma Eve, right? As we can see right now, if we turn in the King James version of the Bible or whichever version of the myth-made Bible you may have, we go to Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3, and we're going to start at verse 1. Because we're going to go through this story in Genesis chapter 3 and recount what we have been taught for so many years. And then we have to go through and then start to figure out what was it actually saying. It says now, verse 1 of chapter 3 of Genesis, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree in the garden? So this, first of all, we got to look at this serpent and understand that there's no way this could have been a serpent that we see crawling around on the ground as a snake. This word serpent is the word nakash. Okay? The word nakash is a word, Hebrew word, means to hiss or to whisper a magic spell. To whisper a magic spell, generally to prognosticate. Certainly divine, an enchanter, so divination, all of the things that we see happening as far as Greco-Roman astrology is concerned, Ouija boards, tarot cards, all of these different things that are being subtly suggested to us by way of the media and otherwise. And you know, before we got into our true way of life, some of us have tripped across these things. Alright? And it's because of the fact that they're so subtle and they always tell you something good first. Oh yes, I see you winning a lot of money soon. Oh, talk to me then. You know what I'm saying? Keep putting the cards up. You see what I'm saying? And you get to the point where you stop putting faith and trust in the Most High Heavenly One, and you put it in these different devices of foretelling the future. But be reminded that the word psychic is indeed the word lying check. The word psych means to lie, and check is just that, a check. So the lying checks and the therapist. Now, you must see this, because this is what they're doing to us. Let me write it another way. The rapist that you humble yourself to go into the depths of your subconscious and abuse you and terrorize you. These are the subtleties that we've been up against. But Genesis 3 starts out, and remember at the end of Genesis 2, it's talking about Adam and Eve coming together and becoming one flesh. Right? Which in the Qubtic Church we understand as the binding of the two flesh. And it says they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. So this is before shame even came in. So when we get to Genesis 3 now, the first person we see this serpent, or this serpent type humanoid, because that's who was speaking to her. This serpent type humanoid, the first one he's going to talk to is Eve. Now, we've been reading it so long, we don't really ask the question necessarily, well, why is he talking to Eve first? Right? But he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So, obviously, Adam had explained to her, okay, we can't go over there, we can't touch it, we can't eat it. Because as soon as the serpent came to her, she did what she's supposed to do. No, we ain't supposed to eat that. We're supposed to even touch that. Yeah? So, things going good so far. Right? But you know the serpent don't work like that. You know, y'all ever see the women walking down Bay Street and the fellas seeking, and they don't seek once. And they don't seek twice. They'll march up the Bay Street just so you can turn around long enough to get their number or give them your number or for you to tell them leave me alone, whatever it is, just to get your attention. Right? But they keep. So how does the serpent keep off Eve now? And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. Uh-oh. Well, my husband tell me if we touch the tree, we can die. But you telling me we ain't gonna die. This way y'all get in trouble with me. Yeah? For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. And then she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Now, of course, in Genesis, they make it seem like everything happened just like that. But obviously, they had to go from this conversation, they had to go walk by the tree now. So what's happening while they're walking by the tree? He's explaining to her how this tree actually really works. Because by the time she gets to the tree, she's seeing this food is good. So he doesn't change her mind from what she was told. As far as this now it's good for food. First she wasn't supposed to touch it or eat it. Then it says pleasant to the eye. See? That's what he telling you don't eat. This juicy mango. Right? And on top of that, this can make you smart, this can make you wise, this can make you know things that even your husband don't know. He ain't know what's going on. That's why I can talk to you, because he ain't listening. You understand what's going on? Huh? He ain't really can listen to what I have to say, because his ego's so big. So that's why I had to come talk to you. So sometimes she get over to the tree now, she eat it, she give Adam a piece of the fruit, now the two of them in trouble. You know how the rest of the story goes. So this is what we've been taught all of our lives in the Bible. In the Qubtic Church, we have to ask the question. This is how we get into our Father's Day message. Did Adam do his due diligence in explaining this tree to Eve? Obviously not. But he ate it too. But he ate it too, exactly. But before we even get to him eating it too, she went to the tree. Because if he had explained the tree to her, and if he had walked over to the tree, and if he had say, listen, let me tell you what the fellas can say now. They can say this with me, and they can say this with you, they can say this with the fruit. And if she was properly taught about the tree, then all she would have been doing was saying, man, I didn't hear this before. I didn't know, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You know, roll up. Or, I think you should come talk to my husband. I think I don't need to be having this conversation, because obviously, if you had any good intentions for the family, you would want to talk to me and my husband. I know you're pulling me to the side. Right? So, in the original books of the Bible then now, we get into the actual origins of this story, and there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot going on. We already explained that these were not trees, right? These were not trees. And so, if we jump back into the original books of the Bible now, we're going to see something here. Let's see. Walk with me now, because I can be jumping around quite a bit. So I think I want to go to page 232. Let me just be sure. Because I want to touch on the story coming out of ancient Africa, and I'm going to touch on the story coming out of the land of sin, the land of the Hindus, alright? And I want us to see exactly how things have been misconstrued. So, on page 132? 232? Keep that there. Keep 232 there. Also want to look at page 253. Also going to look at page 249. Then we can jump around. Page 249, verse 56. Alright, so just in relation to this particular biblical story, because what you're going to find is there's a Hindu influence on the Bible as we hold it today. Page 249, you're just going to read, first of all, verse 56. It says, "You shall all be taught these realities, yet it remains with you what you do with them." So, you could be taught something, but not do what you're supposed to do with it. She knew not to touch the tree, but because of what she learned. But she didn't utilize what was learned enough to the point, enough so she wouldn't get caught up, right? And so it was that the name of the first successfully procreated new being of the Adama group of Homo sapien, known as Cadmonites, of the Phoenician stock of Hindus, was the Zakar group, who was the male rememberer, for which reason he that was called Zakar became the leader of the Adama group of Homo sapien, known as Cadmonites, of the Phoenician stock of Hindus. So I wanted to point that verse out first, because he was appointed the leader. Remember we said the men were the leaders insofar as they were out front, the women were the rulers. Because when Asaru went out to teach, Aset was on the throne. That's why her symbol is a throne on her head. 3 steps. She maintained the order of the so-called kingdom while Asaru went out and he propagated. Right? And this is how the Most High set things up for us, even in this day and time, whereby we have a formula of, we're not going to put our women out there to get beat up, to get spit on, to get talked to by. We'll go out there, we'll handle that. I'll go on the radio station, they can call me if they want. They say, "You so calm." I'm like, "Don't bother me." Start off my family, I go quiet. You understand what I'm saying? So, he was the leader, which means as a leader now, there were certain things he was required to do, one of which was explain exactly who these serpentine beings were and how they could affect the tribe, the family, the nation in an adverse way. Right? So that's page 249, verse 56. And then we also want to make it clear, and we jump down to verse 61 on the next page. Because these group of Phoenician Hindus said in verse 61 that have no fear of those Canaanites who will try to imply that these words are made up. Instead, teach your fellow members of humanity these words in hopes that perhaps they will be made to reflect on all the events of Tar Earth's past, just as this was done, in hopes that by living in tune with the ways of the teachings concerning pantheism, they would earn the right to once again be taught the precept principles of the original Holy Qubtic Church, namely atonism. So these Hindus, their way of life is commonly known as pantheism. Pan meaning all, theism meaning God. Everything is God. Trees, rocks, cockroach, all of the physical manifestations. But if they had lived this way of life the way they were supposed to, then they would have gotten back to their original ancestors who were known as the Harappan. You can actually look this up. In the Indus River Valley, there's a group of people called the Harappan people. And these were the Africans who lived in that area, who were teaching them the original rites of atonism. Some people, when they hear us speak of atonism, it's hard, or they try to figure out, well, how does this relate to everything else? Are we saying we're better than everybody else? Are we saying that nobody else matters? That's not what we're saying. We're saying we're the original people on the planet, and we have things, we had a symbiotic relationship with the planet, so anybody who came after that wanted to have a symbiotic relationship with the planet and nature should follow the formula that was already there. That's all we're saying. You follow it in the way that works for you, but you're still becoming at one with nature. That's all atonism is saying. Right? So then, we move now into page 253. This verse, sorry, getting juicy. Can't actually read everything out because the original books of the Bible are really tell the truth. There's no children here, but I still it's getting recorded. Right? Y'all understand what I'm saying. If we are on page 253, and we're starting at verse 77. It says, "Don't become discouraged because there were many whom we sent that were ridiculed, yet they endured. In time when the Adamic group of Homo sapiens, known as Cadmonites of the Phoenician stock of Hindus, led by the clan of priestesses, known as Hawa, and priests, the Zakar group, did begin to be adversely influenced by the reptilian seed of Apep, known as Zuen." Right? These terms, Zakar and Hawa, if you look in Genesis chapter 5, where they have male and female, and the male is Zakar, and then the female is Hawa. That's key, because I'm showing you that the story that we're reading is right here in the original books of the Bible, but they covered it with English. Okay? But here's what happened. They said that, jumping back, this group of Hawa, or priestesses known as Hawa and priests known as Zakar, did begin to adversely be adversely influenced by the reptilian seed of Apep, known as Zuen, who resided in the land of Sinj. It did cause them to partake of the fig fruit of the banyan tree, which, being a type of Spanish fly, was used as a narcotic to chew and smoke, like the opium poppy or the pomegranate apple. So your apple story coming. Alright? I'll discuss the banyan tree. The banyan tree is one of the sacred trees that still is revered today in the land of the Hindus. Right? If I'm not mistaken, we have one of these trees in the National Trust. Alright? I have to look at the fruit and you'll see it. But it looks very similar. Right? It goes on to say, "Hold firm, knowing that the Most High Heavenly One is the best of providers." As such, a piece of the puzzle concerning the forbidden fruit was hidden in the concept of the forbidden fruit of Sumeria, which is ancient Kushite Babylon, whose realities held information about life in the Eden within Bali, Indonesia. If you go on the map today, and you look at Bali, the capital of Bali today is still Eden. Okay? So, the original Eden, that's not what this Bible is talking about. This is talking about in Bali. Right? That's why if you look in Genesis 5, you're talking about Hawa and Zakar. You're talking about Shu and Tefnah. Alright? You have to know this. But it goes on further to say, whose realities held information about life in Eden within Bali, Indonesia, where the ingestion of the forbidden fruit of the banyan tree resulted in a curse of spiritual death for the Adama group of Homo sapien, known as Kadmonites of the Phoenician stock of Hindus. Because there are those who say, well, they ate the fruit and they didn't die. So the devil didn't lie. So the reality is, it was a spiritual death. Insofar as you've now interfered with the formula that the Most High has put in place. It says, the manner in which this took place was such that we observed what seemed to be unseen. The priestesses, known as the Hawa, which is the living serpentine being amongst the Adama group of Homo sapien, known as Kadmonites of the Phoenician stock of Hindus, became overly stimulated by the consumption of Spanish fly, followed by the sight of the erected lingam or penis of the fallen giant angelic race, who were called Nagas. These giants came in under these women in Genesis 6. Yeah? But it says, this word Nagas means all kinds of serpentine beings that came down, who stood by and within the temple which sat beneath this tree, because the banyan tree has a temple that is sometimes carved into the tree or near the tree, depending on how big it is. Right? It is therefore, verse 80, incumbent upon those who seek true faith that you propagate. Thus the priestesses, the Hawa group, were able to give the priest, who was the Zakar group, the same type of sex-stimulating drug, being the preparers of the food for their client. So they just walk up and say, yeah, eat this. They stir it in the food. Because he got experiences too. Because you can't imagine how it's making me feel. I know you ain't going to want to take it. So let me just put it in the food. Right? It goes on to say, and once the priests, or the Zakar group, had consumed the meals, they too became overly stimulated by the voluptuous curves of the physical anatomy of the priestesses, the Hawa group, and together they did also read of the knowledge of carnal awareness contained within the Kama Sutra. Because remember, in Genesis 3, it says, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. Make one wise about what? Carnal desire. The Kama Sutra. A lot of people don't know about the Kama Sutra though. Included in his writings concerning the promotion of certain degrading sexual practices such as bestiality and pedophilia. That's also a part of the Kama Sutra. People like go talking about Kama Sutra, like, yeah, studying about it's like you have a go-to in the backyard. I mean, they're just keeping it real. That's what they did. That's what Kama Sutra was all about. Right? So, we'll continue on. Verse 81, many therefore have strayed from the path of the Qubtic rites and caused others to follow their steps. Yet your desire for atonement, always you remain steadfast. For then through the use of the Spanish fly sex stimulant, the priestesses, or the Hawa group, and priests, the Zakar group, were tricked and beguiled to the point of knowing lust and the shame of the naked body, which they had lacked before. Remember, Genesis 2, at the end of Genesis 2, they didn't have any shame. Right? Those, verse 82, who feel their own plans govern their existence, need realize that Ane Ray, the Most High Heavenly One, does through divine will plan the most ultimate of plans. Thereby they engage in sex out of due time, causing the Adama group of Homo sapien, known as Kadmonites of the Phoenician stock of Hindus, and those whom they led from amongst the other tribes of Hindus, to become controlled by sexual urges outside of their own willpower. That's where we are today. We don't know how to control our sexual urges and impulses. Everything is sex. You want to sell something? You gotta put a little sex in there. So everybody is tuned in to that vibration. That's a beast mentality. See? So Genesis 3 then is coming from a Hindu perspective, right? And it's talking about the fact that this Adam and Eve were having sex out of due season. But had this Zakar, this group of priests, explain to the priestesses the true significance of why they should not have touched this tree, then the priestesses should have, would have, could have been more prepared for what was being taught to them and what was being brought to them. Right? And that's a very important message insofar as in this day and time we have so many doctrines, we have so many people out there sounding heavy, sounding flashy, and it's our responsibility as fathers to be protectors, as it is the responsibility of the mothers to be the nurturers. So before I get into the reality of the Tamarind story, I want to take a step back and speak about the father and his relationship to the Most High. On page 13 of the original books of the Bible, in the second paragraph, it says, thus, when we say the Most High Heavenly One, which many call Father, the word Ab, which is Father, must not be used to denote masculine gender, but instead it means the one from which we all come forth or proceed from. And both of us, all of us came from our mothers and our fathers. Yet, when the Greco-Romans got involved, they only felt that life came forth from the earthly father, thus made Baba or Bibi or Abba or Uba, etc., seem as if it is just a male, when in fact it originally meant that from which we have all come forth, but not to the Elohim, the all-inclusive and complete aspects, principles, attributes, chemicals, elements and guardians, and nurturing forces. This thereby teaches all humanity that Abana includes the male and female polarities and principles of all components of existence and creation. That's why if you look at this word Ab in dyslexia, the word is what? Ba. And the word Ba in Tamaric is the word soul. And they say the word for father is the word what? Baba. But that's two souls, which ultimately is who he, or 23 chromosomes coming from the mother and 23 chromosomes coming from the father, to produce a portion of themselves as well as a portion of the Most High Heavenly One. So keeping this in mind, we have to be aware of the fact that yes, everybody does have their purpose. It goes on to say, furthermore, in order that you gain a better understanding of the Most High Heavenly One, humanity must merge back with the source of creation. In order to do this, members of humanity cannot continue on the path whereby we allow certain media outlets to define what the principles of father and mother really represent. So that's the serpent law. The serpent will have to walk up to you now. The serpent can come through the internet. The serpent can come through TV. The serpent can come through a magazine. Which, they telling you what it is. What's a magazine? You look up the actual definition of the word magazine. It's a storehouse for weapons. It's a storehouse for ammunition. You take the magazine, you put it in the gun. Right? And the magazine is full of bullets. And if you look at the word Lord or Baal, they say the children of the Most High, they fell victim or they were seduced by Balaam when they bowed down to Baal. That's the same word for what? Ballistics. bullets. So they come into us just like how they came in the garden, and they telling us everything that our original rights and precepts and commandments were telling us really don't really go like that. Doesn't really work that way, right? But it goes further to say, this is said because Ane Ray, as the ruling manifested radiance, is not able to be lessened or diminished. Thus cannot have the two polarities, namely protector and nurturer, separate. The mother and the father together become the Most High. One is the nurturer and one is the protector. It says, this protector and nurturer separated. Let me jump back. Cannot have the two polarities, namely protector and nurturer, separated, as this would violate the principle of divine harmonious unity. There has to be a divine harmonious unity, causing members of humanity, to lack true understanding, since there is one thing which the Most High Heavenly One, Ane Ray, cannot do in terms of humanity, which has become less than that which is within, as that would be a form of regression, making the source no longer the source. So when Eve decided she was going to listen to this serpentine humanoid being, the formula that the Most High put in place was destroyed. Because if you have a protector, and your protector says, all I need you to do is just stand right here behind me. Or all I need you to do is stay upstairs. All I need you to do is stay in the closet. Me handle, I don't need to be worrying about you. And as a father, that's our job. It's not always a robber coming in the house. Sometimes the lies coming through the radio, the lies coming through the TV, and your daddy and your mommy, your parents, your guardians. So listen, all I need you to do, I just don't need you to be watching these particular channels. I need you to be reading these particular books. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to protect you from what I know is there. Because I know how it influenced me. Or I know how I got away from it and I saw it influence other people. Right? And so, as a father, you must first and foremost be equipped with the knowledge of how to protect your family, how to protect your wife, how to protect your children. If somebody comes in the house, you should have a plan. If, some new website or new television program is coming out, you're supposed to be aware of that. As the fathers, if we come home and row and say, man, let's watch the news. I know it is in your house. We'd be watching Chop plenty. I like Chop. He can be into Chop. Right? He's a chef. That's what is making a good meal. I complain it. But part of me being a father is knowing what's going on in the world. Not to say that everything they put on TV is the only thing going on in the world. That's not what I'm saying. But to be relevant so that I know that now there's a drug that has caused people to bite people's face off and things. I need to know that. If I see the zombie coming through out there, I know where you're playing. Get me out. I just saw that on the news, right? Black guys. Oh yeah, there's black boys. They put a gun on him. Right? On in Florida. He came with his, so I made more pictures. Right? but I say all that to say that what you find a lot of times is that the fathers are the ones, not in all instances, mind you. I'm not painting everybody with a broad brush. But because the women are truly the backbone of the home, and they're trying to keep the children in order, they're trying to keep the house in order, trying to do everything as far as keeping our house in order. Sometimes we are the only ones who have time to sit down and learn this stuff so that we can come back and teach it. Not that women shouldn't study on their own. Women should study on their own. They should have their own time to study without us. Y'all gotta have your own church group. When you're ready to start that, y'all say the word. But the point of the matter is that as your protectors, we bring into you an original way of life that's going to allow us to put you back on the throne as the ruler and allow for us again the ones who need to be respected in the homes as men. And we've lost that because, see, when we walk out into society, we're being bossed around. Insofar as we have a boss. So imagine if you're not the boss, some of us may be the boss, but many of us are not. If you walk out there in society, maybe you have 2-3 jobs, and maybe you have 2-3 bullies too, or bosses telling you what to do. And worse yet, your wife, she also have a job, so she have a what? A boss. The two of you all go and get boss and get bully up all day. So what happens? When you come home, I ain't listening to you and you ain't listening to me because I get boss all day. And she's saying, well, I get boss all day too. So you ain't bossing me. And so we come home and we wouldn't listen to each other like how we would listen to the boss. We'd hang up the phone and put down the Facebook and everything when the boss walk in because we know we got to stick to the boss plan. Yet, when it comes to our own plan in the home, we stray away from it because we tired of being boss. And they wonder why the rate of graduation and unemployment and everything, when we look at men and women, you see more women going to college, more women with jobs and stuff like that. We have to address the fact that the system we live in is one that tells us you're either going to be like this and succeed, or you could be like yourself and suffer. And as men, we're not interested in following the lead. It's easier for women to do it. That's why it's more y'all in school and more y'all working. Because as a part of us, we trying to just keep and salvage something. We gotta salvage his mind, and we don't even know what to do with it yet. We don't even know what it is. But all we know is if that dude tell me come to work 9, they come at 9:15 or 10 o'clock. Because I don't feel like being boss. You understand? Some men come home and because they've been boss all day, well, I can beat you. Because I know you can't beat me. And I say I can't beat you. I can beat the church. Some men can beat right? But you got to figure out who you can take this thing out on. And if you ain't got no children, then you can go find some children or some people to beat on. So now we got the crime. That's why I always say crime, the word criminal is the word crime in all. Because it starts from the top down. You got policy makers, they're the first bullies. Then you got those, then you got those who now have to follow the policies being bullied. And some of them are in a position whereby they can maintain because they got some people to bully. They're the bosses, they're the managers. Yeah? Then you got those who are not managers, who are not bosses. Everybody bullying them. Policy makers, managers, the bosses, everybody telling you what to do. And then these who've been bossed now want control in their home. And maybe they don't have control in their home because as far as they're concerned, their wife, their girlfriend, their significant other, speaking to men, well, it's what you listen to that man every day. You just wait for him. Because when he tells you come somewhere, you just hurry up, pocket your stuff, your makeup ain't even on properly, and run up the door to be there for him all the time. And when he asks you to write a letter, you just write the letter. Whatever he asks you to do, you do it. When I ask you to do it, I gotta hear some long story. I gotta hear why your headache and how long your day was and how Tinkham was talking with you. And but I ain't ask you all that. You understand? And so we get in this unbalanced mode whereby we are not protecting, she is not nurturing, and the house is out of balance. So I'm encouraging the fathers today to get back into the realities of your stories, because that empowers you, not to the point where you're competing with your wife, but to the point where you can be self-sustained so that you're not bossed around. So that instead of you having to worry about why your wife, your girlfriend, your significant other ain't listening to you, you may have the opportunity to say, come work with me. Let's do this together, because now we have enough information to put some things on the ground so that we can start becoming self-sustainable. When we start becoming self-sustainable, man, they ain't gonna say it, but I can say it. When they see you become a person that's self-sustainable, they respect you more. When they see someone not bossing you around, then they respect you more. And the system of it set up so that we see our women, the women see the men being bossed around. Just like they did in slavery. Come in the house, hive the woman, sometimes rape the man in the front of the woman. Beat, vice versa. But especially for the women to not trust the men. We got stomped in the front of that. And we still getting stomped in the front of that. So they don't see us as their protectors anymore. So now we call in SSI. That's my security. Check. Because you can't do it. Right? So I got SSI. I got one handgun and one shotgun. Because you can't do it. Watching you get beat up every day. Yeah? And then as it concerns other things, which I ain't going to go into, they got self-applicating tools for that as well. Check, don't need you there either. So what have they done to us? What have they done to us? We've dipped into the philosophy of this carnal knowledge to the point where now, as men, we don't know how to instruct our women how to stay away from this. And as women, we don't respect our men because we don't have anything to tell them, so the only thing we tell them is shut up. I ain't listening to you. And for those who really don't have nothing to say, they swinging. That's where we are. So the importance of the original books of the Bible and the Tonism is key to us getting our families back in order, because I can tell you, when you actually have something to tell her, even if she don't appear to be listening, if she sees working in you, she can respond. Because women don't work like us. They hear fancy dog all day. I lie, women? All day, right? The fellas whispering around y'all in Nakashai. Yeah? They whispering all day. So y'all in here talks with Bain every day. Right? So when we come with our dog, you be like, alright, there's another nigga talking. Let me see something though. When you start doing it, trust me, all of the little things that you may have been worrying about as far as your insecurities and all, she will secure them in a twinkling of an eye. Because she will see, oh, I have a mind. I'm not saying we ain't men, you know. All they saying is this society is being right now, don't want us to be men. They don't want us to be fathers. They don't want us to be brothers. They don't want us to be sons. All they want us to do is be an animal and just survive. But we have to get back to those original trees of Shu and Tefnah that eventually gave way to Geb and Nut. And what those trees were the actual knowledge that came from our pyramid schools. And this knowledge is real, and this knowledge is being resurrected by way of the Holy Qubtic Church and others. We're not the only ones. We can't do it by ourselves. But I must say that none of us in here want to be on the wrong side of history when people actually recognize that what we've been saying all along really was the truth. And then we'll become the angels. And let me know how it goes. You mean they were really angels? Yeah, whatever. Well, because that's what the angels are saying. And then what happened to John? He bowing down. He said, get up, boss. Me and you on the same page. And then he come in and give you a message. Please stand up. And 1,000 years from now, we'll be statues. That's what happened. So when you look at a Saru and a Set, oh, look at Neptut, and look at Satuk, and we got the statues all over the house. And then we got the stories too. You find out who really was sleeping with who. Now, this is soap opera. Just like the Bible is. You find out what really was going on, you realize, oh, they were just like us. Yeah, they were just like us. Which means we can be just like them. You see? So those trees, the Bible told us that it was wrong to go after knowledge. It was wrong. You shouldn't go after knowledge. But of course, this knowledge was talking about the Kama Sutra. The knowledge that we're supposed to go after is the actual knowledge that was given to us by way of the guardian angelic hosts through the pyramid schools. Those pyramids weren't places just to bury people, as they say. Our universities were cities where we went to learn about the universe. We learned that the universe was a part of us. And once we started to learn those things, we became very powerful. And now we make it respect us again. And that's where we are now as men. We have to digest this, women too, so that we become the Most High again. We are the Most High. You see? And so this whole idea of Eve eating the forbidden fruit is one whereby if we don't take a stand, while she keeping the house, while she taking care of children, while she doing everything she doing, we don't take the opportunity to learn this and let her gain interest in it. And sometimes it's the woman who gotta talk to her husband about this information. If you don't get his interest in it, then we'll be out of the garden again. And that's what we're trying to do, is get back in the garden. We have the formula. We're giving it to you piece for a reason. Because if we put it all in your lap, you cry. There's 18 more of these. So when we get them in, digest them, eat them, learn them, study them, question. We only have in fellowship once a week right now because people are busy. We're supposed to be here every day. This is a teaching church. See? So I just want to leave that message with everybody and just encourage all the fathers on Father's Day to, be reminded that you don't have to be bossed around. You don't have to be put in a position whereby you're constantly disrespected. When you walk around with your story in your chest, your boss can't boss you. So how you go to work with a nose ring, they don't see it. What you mean they don't see it? They don't see it. Because I know my story. So the minute they jump in my face with a nose ring, I jump in their face with my story. And the reason why you like me on this job is because of the story. If I didn't know this story, I'd probably be breaking in your car right now. without the nose ring. You understand? So I've never had, and I'm just using myself as an example, I've never had issues with a nose ring or locks, or because I knew my story, and I'm still learning it. You know, some people I work with for 5 years, I got the thing in there for 2 years, and they walk in one day, when did you do that? What you talking about? That's on my face? That thing, you know, I forget it in there. So it's years ago. But we live in our way of life. We live in our way of life. And it's happening, and I gotta say this. I ain't gonna call his name because we recording today after we turn it off. I don't put him on the spot. One of our newly elected ministers. I ran into one of them. I heard you on the radio the other day. So most like, hey, I be on the radio all the time, so I don't know what they heard from me. You know. I say, yeah, I'm on different radio stations. Someone came up to him to talk to him, and they kind of interrupted the conversation. Anyway, I left to go and do what I had to do. And when I turned back around, he was coming towards me again. He said, no, you talking about the Qubtic Church. Qubtic is the African thing, right? I said, yes, sir. I said, yeah, I'm talking. You're spot on. And just walk off. So that let me know that people listening and people watching, people in the House of Parliament hearing this, we can get this to them. We can change the country. You don't have to be in Parliament to change the country. Because they ain't not gonna come to us. They ain't gonna sit here. That Nicodemus didn't work like that, right? He was one of the elders. He said, hey, Jake. Jesus. What you talking about, man? It's carrying all about you. Don't tell them I say that. Because he was one of the elders. You see what I'm saying? This was happening to us. And so we're going to continue putting stuff on Facebook. We're going to start a radio show. We're going to put the TV sermon on so we can get that going more regularly. And we can get this message out. You see? But be encouraged, fathers and mothers. Especially fathers on this Father's Day, as we say. Amen.